Hello there, and thanks for visiting the Villa Varykino YouTube channel. I'm Christy.
And I'm Matt.
We're long-standing Star Wars fans who live and breathe Star Wars every day.
Welcome to another installment of Our Week of Star Wars, a series recapping the Star Wars fun we've had during the past week. So about a week ago now, the Ahsoka trailer, the latest full Ahsoka trailer, hit the internet. It's coming in at 2 minutes and it's jam-packed with action and hype. Really starting to get excited for this release. It's coming out on the 23rd of August, so a date that we're counting down to.
Yeah, this one gave us some really fun glimpses. We get clearer shots of Sabine and Hera with some dialogue. We're getting a little bit more of a sense of some of the story teasers here. And of course, one of the things that everyone's been waiting for, we finally get our first face shot of Thrawn in live action. Of course, the previous teaser showed him from the back. It's been really exciting to see him. We also see a little shot of Mon Mothma, and it's just fun seeing just more of the action and the detail. We're seeing the Magistrate from The Mandalorian showing up in here.
More of the HK droids, yeah.
And she's connected in some manner to these sort of dark side Force users that we see heavily in the trailer.
I'm really liking what we've seen of those dark side Force users. I don't know, they're interesting. They're not full Sith as far as we understand it, but I think there's going to be some interesting story behind them, and they're going to be quite different adversaries from what we've seen in some of the other Star Wars material. Yeah,
and I get the feeling that they are not Inquisitors as we understand them from Rebels and the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, because we do actually see an Inquisitor sort of teased in this trailer as well. So there seems to be a distinction between the two. So it'll be really interesting to see how this all sort of unfolds when that series finally hits Disney+. I'm really, really excited for this.
It's going to be a really strong progression of the material that's come before it, including the Rebels animated series, and I think building on that is what's going to give it a lot of good foundation and good strength in terms of storytelling. And it's building up to something really big as well. That's what we also know about the trajectory for the Mandoverse.
Yeah, as excited as I am that this is connected to what we know and love from The Mandalorian, I think I'm more excited about how it connects into the Rebels animated series, because it feels like, without, going into spoilers, that this is essentially a live-action continuation of that animated series.
So yeah, speaking of the Rebels show, last time we recorded Our Week of Star Wars, we had just wrapped up rewatching Series 1, and we're well into our way, almost complete for Season 2 this time round. I think we're up to about Episode 18, so just a few more episodes. It's quite a bit larger, longer season than the previous one.
Yeah, of course, Season 2 has a few more of the sort of must-watch Ahsoka episodes that I think are especially important leading into the live-action show. Of course, leading up to the sort of the highlight end sort of double episode season arc towards the end of this Season 2. Very, very excited. We'll be watching that in the next day or two.
Yeah, we should be up to that soon, yeah.
Because there are guides online about which, if you don't have time to sit down and watch all of the Rebels episodes, I think there are some very pivotal, important Ahsoka episodes that you should at least sit down and watch just before watching the Ahsoka live action, because I think they'll fill in some of the detail that I think won't necessarily be must watch, but will certainly give fans a lot more information and just a refresher about what has happened since we last saw her in the Clone Wars.
Obviously, it's a very important season. There's quite a different tone between Season 1 and Season 2. Season 1 was all about the establishment of Ezra's relationship with the rest of the Rebels crew, but Season 2, they have left the planet, they are working with Phoenix Squadron, Hera's been promoted, so they're doing some very substantial things in terms of the overarching galaxy.
Well, there's also sort of a higher sort of feeling of peril and threat from the Empire. Yes. We have more sort of threat from the Inquisitors. We know they're sort of being hunted and things like that. And obviously leading up to the sort of the climax of the end of Season 2, without getting into spoilers, it's very important.
We're talking at a pretty high level here.
Just in case you guys want to go off and watch it yourselves, because of course, I think every fan should be watching the Rebels series in the lead up to Ahsoka.
Yeah, so by the time we talk again in the next installment of Our Week of Star Wars, we should be well into Season 3.
Yeah. In Star Wars app gaming news, in Galaxy of Heroes, I recently unlocked the new Ewok character, Princess Kneesaa. This one is a new addition to the Ewok lineup. She is looking like a really fun character to play, and for those of you guys that play the game, she is going to be a essential character in the lead up to the Galactic Legend Princess Leia. So if you know all the sort of the hype around Galactic Legends in this game, they are very powerful characters that generally take a long time to sort of work up to. So Princess Kneesaa is going to be very, very important because, of course, as a Princess Leia fan, that Princess Leia Galactic Legend is going to be a must-have for me. So Princess Kneesaa is already on my must-gear and level up list, but that's kind of fun because I like the character already, so no sweat there.
So quite a fun addition, really, just to touch on the notion that Ewok Princess Kneesaa has been added into the game, and she harks right back to the animated series from the 80s, and she's been represented in action figure form a couple of times over the last few decades. How many Ewoks are in the game? How many Ewoks are there for her to work with?
There's more than a full squad of 5, so if you want to put a full Ewok squad together, you can mix and match a few different ways. Mm-hmm. So she is an addition, so I'm going to have to play around with my squad and see which one she'll end up replacing. I know there's some YouTube guides out there already about sort of the different sort of Ewok squad build-ups, and some have sort of strengths and weaknesses for what particular sort of fight that you are working on, whether it's a raid or sort of the PvP nodes or anything like that. But yeah, it's really fun. I love this game so much because it includes Star Wars characters from just anything. Yeah. Video games, comics, old expanded universe, current video games, just the movies, the animated shows, just anything and everything. It doesn't just
include them. You can mix and match them simultaneously on the same
I've got some really fun Sith teams where you've got like Mara Jade and Palpatine and Darth Talon and Malgus and Malak. You just sort of mash them all in together and just have some wild fun. You can have a whole team of different Han Solos from the different films. It's a lot of fun. I do really highly recommend the game if you've never picked it up. Completely free to play if you want to be, or you can dive right in and get really stuck into building a really powerful Star Wars squad. In other Star Wars app game news, we don't talk about Topps Star Wars card trader very often because it's generally sort of a day-to-day, collect some cards, build some sets, kind of fun. Every now and again they do something cool like a watch party where you all get together as sort of a fan group, you watch the movie that's been chosen, and you earn cards, sort of as you go along. A recent event that was held just this past week was the sort of semi-regular Bunta Eve, which is kind of a fun process in a card trading app. So you draw a random card from an assigned pack and you kind of get randomly assigned a pod racer from out of 5 choices. So I had Mars Guo.
And I was allocated to the team of Dud Bolt.
Yeah, so the way that you sort of try and win the race was you sort of do certain activities within the app.
Within certain time frames.
Yeah, sort of drawing certain cards, and you can cheer on your team. It makes them go faster. Or you can sort of use sabotage cards on enemy teams to make them go slower. And so you sort of see the lap standings. There are 3 laps, and you can sort of see and sort of strategize and things like that. When it all came to the end, I came 3rd. And you unfortunately came last.
Yeah. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme. It's just a little bit of interactive fun because most of the game is playing individually with a little bit of trading between individuals. But this takes place in real time. Yeah. And you've got to strategize a little bit in terms of when you're going to play your cards that can set other teams back. And so what it comes down to is if you can't. It's hard to really coordinate, but what it comes down to is the number of people on each team that are going to be playing their cards at certain times, and semi-random on the whole probably, but yeah, fun in terms of interactivity.
Yeah, just something free to do with fellow fans, because the pod racing was such a fun event in the Phantom Menace. It's kind of a fun way, and you get a bunch of free cards out of it, so it's all good.
In terms of YouTube videos that we have recorded and published in the past week, we have covered a range of products. First up, we've got the Vintage Collection of Darth Vader, the recent release, as he appeared on the second Death Star. This is I think a really cool figure, and we also include in that video a comparison with a other recent, almost a year old now, Darth Vader action figure from the Kenobi series, the Dark Times version of that character. We were very excited to get the Black Series Darth Malak 6-inch action figure, so we've got that unboxed. And to talk a little bit about Knights of the Old Republic action figures in general, we may take a look at that character.
I also unboxed the Funko Pop Soda Princess Leia figure. If you've watched an earlier video, you know that when I unboxed mine, it had a small paint flaw. So I said to myself, if I find this again, I'll go and buy it so I can replace it and, get a better version. So off camera, I went and opened one that I found locally, and lo and behold, I found a chase. So I kind of stopped what I was doing, set up the camera, recorded, opening that one up, because it's my very first Funko Chase soda figure.
A really good one to get as well.
Yes.
She's holding the medallion from the final scenes.
It's not just a different paint style, it is a different sculpt where she's holding the medal. So I unboxed that one properly on camera and did a comparison with my original one. And I also took a look at a brand new Young Jedi Adventures multi-pack that showed up recently. Now, this wasn't advertised widely, and we hadn't seen it previewed as part of the range that ties into the new animated children's show on Disney+. So we picked that one up. These are bright, fun, colorful characters, obviously aimed at a younger audience, but I do like some of the cuter style Star Wars collectibles, going all the way back to that classic Galactic Heroes collection. So I thought this was a really fun set.
It's a pack of 5 characters from that Young Jedi Adventures series, and it includes a exclusive version of the Yoda figure.
Lastly, one of our YouTube videos this week was 10 Star Wars things, all featuring Han Solo. So to celebrate Harrison Ford's birthday, we decided to sort of kick off a Star Wars project that we've been working on for a while, where we highlight 10 Star Wars things from our collection, all centered around a specific character or theme. So obviously Harrison Ford's birthday, we picked Han Solo. So together we picked 10 Han Solo things from our Star Wars collection, and we talked about our favorite aspects, why we like this, a little bit of history about each item. We will go into our sort of project idea a little bit in the coming week. This is something that we've sort of been brewing up for a while, and there's a little bit of a backstory and a reason why we're sort of embarking on this project. So do subscribe and stay tuned for more on that, coming up very soon.
Yeah, so we'll have an explanatory video for that project, and we'll have additional installments, additional episodes of 10 Star Wars things, each on a different theme, coming up very soon. In terms of shopping and things that have shown up by courier, it was the school holidays locally for the last couple of weeks, so there have been a number of sales on, toy sales, and we made use of that in a few instances and got some really good bargains. We did a little bit of hunting for Funko product because we wanted to track down some of the new figures. We got in hand the new Max Rebo Funko Pop figure, and while we were doing that, we picked up a figure of the Major Domo from the Book of Boba Fett, who was heavily discounted.
Yeah, always a fun find when you find something that's been on your wish list and then you find it and it's actually, less than half price. That was really great. Also, speaking of less than half price things, our local toy stores seem to be clearing out some of the older vintage collection carded figures. Now, we have picked up the Mace Windu earlier, but we noticed that they had a few more out on the shelves. So we picked up an Ahsoka, an Obi-Wan Kenobi, and a young sort of Padawan era young Anakin figure, and those were all less than half price. These were ones that were sort of like not at the top of our list because they are very close to other figures that we have, but they are just really great to be able to add into our collection.
Similar things for all the Black Series too, actually. We picked up a Grand Moff Tarkin Black Series 6-inch figure with an interrogator droid, a Force Awakens Han Solo, also at that heavily discounted, I think it was close to 40% actually.
Yeah.
In the slightly newer releases, we got Endor Han Solo with the Return of the Jedi 40th Anniversary logo branding on it. Similarly, a Stormtrooper on that same sort of bubble card back.
While we were checking the toy stores, we also noticed a recent figure that's been a little bit harder to find is the Black Series HK-87 droid that is seen in The Mandalorian and does seem to appear in the Ahsoka trailer. So we thought this was a really good find, and being in the toy section, it was included in some of the recent toy sales. So we thought it was the perfect opportunity to pick up one of those slightly harder to find figures for us here locally in New Zealand.
Yeah, that HK-87 figure hasn't had particularly good distribution locally, so it was really good to find it locally, but also find it discounted. I quite liked the design of that droid when it showed up in The Mandalorian, so it's quite exciting to see basically Ahsoka facing off against what appears to be the same droid in the recent Ahsoka trailers.
And rounding out our shopping for this week, alongside the multi-pack that we found from the Young Jedi Adventures, we decided to sort of flesh out a little bit of a collection display. The multi-pack doesn't include the main character Nubs, so we picked up Nubs on his own so that we could flesh out that set. We also bought the standard single issue of Yoda because the multi-pack includes a special version. I also got Lys Soleil on her own with her speeder and her lightsaber, because it's probably no secret that she is my favorite character from this show. I think she is lovely and she has a great love of animals, so she has a sort of a personality not too dissimilar to myself. There's a few episodes where she's sort of very keen on helping the animal creatures around her, and I really like her character, so I have a couple of collectibles to sort of celebrate that character.
On that note, thanks for listening to another episode of Our Week of Star Wars. We appreciate you taking your time to listen to us.
And stay tuned for another episode next week. And as always, may the Force be with you. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, check out our other videos, and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.